wisemarkets.com for program details and exclusions.
Good morning, America. New winter storm alert. 11 states bracing for another hit as the East Coast tries to dig out from that nor'easter. More than a foot of snow in 5 states, hundreds of accidents, thousands of flights canceled. And out west, that mudslide emergency, the torrential rain coming down right now.
Also this morning, the new surveillance images of that suspected serial bomber, the wigs, the gloves, how the surveillance helped authorities track him down. Also overnight, the confession of a killer. What police are now saying the suspect admitted in a 25-minute confession recorded on his phone.
Deadly crash. The new dashcam video just released. What happened moments before that self-driving Uber hit a woman crossing the street?
And Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg finally breaking his silence about that privacy scandal.
This was a major breach of trust, and I'm really sorry that this happened.
As the social giant faces its first lawsuit over that data mishap.
Live in Times Square, this is GMA with Robin Roberts, George Stephanopoulos, and Michael Strahan.
We do say good morning, America. David Muir continuing to pull double duty for us.
One day left after today, baby.
Well, who's counting, right?
No, I'm not counting.
All right, but the snow, it's leading to a messy commute for millions along the East Coast this morning. That is a live look at Philadelphia.
But with all that snow, some people are making the most of it, having some fun on their snow days. This is what happened outside of the Capitol. Snow's not going to keep them in the house.
Skiing to work. This storm is causing some real trouble, though, this morning. More than a foot of snow has fallen so far across 5 states. That snow and ice leading to more than 5,000 canceled flights, affecting travel coast to coast. And this morning, nearly 90,000 are waking up without power.
And in this cold weather, to not have power. We have full team coverage up and down the East Coast, as you can see. We're going to start with Rob. He's right here in Times Square. Good morning, Rob.
Good morning, Robin. We've played this record before, haven't we? Still snowing in parts of eastern New England and Long Island. This is what it's looked like for the past 24 hours. Just not fun traveling. Long Island really getting hit hard. Philadelphia got hit hard as well. The snow eaters were out there after Brooklyn got some trees down. Not too many power outages, about 80,000 or so at this hour, but certainly thousands of flights delayed. At one point, Baltimore ran out of de-icing fluid. They'll get some more of that today and hopefully get operations back up and running. Look at some of these total Bayshore, Long Island, 19.3 inches. Parts of Pennsylvania, 19 inches. Bayville, New Jersey, 13.5. Philadelphia, 7. 4.1 in D.C. That's the most they've had this late in the season since the 1960s. All right, our storm now continues to swirl. We expect it to exit towards the north and east, but before it does that, it will dump more in the way of snow across parts of Suffolk, Long Island, Suffolk County, and parts of eastern Massachusetts, which for the most part has been unscathed with this, but it's snowing there now, and they're expecting wind as we go throughout the day. For that, we go live now to Lindsay Janis, who's in Boston for us. Good morning, Lindsay.
Good morning, Rob. You can see the snow coming down, and it is the wet, sloppy stuff. You can see it's coating the grass here and the roads. Drivers are being asked to be extremely careful. This nor'easter already wreaking havoc from Maryland to Connecticut.
Overnight, in the path of nor'easter number 4, millions of Americans from Maryland to New York hit with more than a foot of snow. Violent winds and rain. And slick, deadly roads. Accidents and sideline cars all over.
It's like there's ice on the bottom and then there's snow on top that makes it extra slick.
In New Jersey alone, at least 169 crashes recorded, including this tractor trailer that slid off the interstate, over the guardrail and into trees.
It's enough. It's enough of this nor'easter. How many? 4?
Snowplows no match for wet, slushy streets.
It doesn't make sense. Why is it a winter wonderland in March?
It's really terrible. I didn't really think it was going to be this bad, to be honest.
The governor of New York even lending a hand helping one sidelined truck.
The snow expected to keep coming down here in Boston until around lunchtime. This nor'easter not as bad as expected, but Boston public schools have been closed, and parents are upset about that because it means that students are going to be going through classes until June 28th. Robin?
Oof.
All right, Lindsay, thanks very much. They're not the only ones getting hammered.
That hurts, by the way.
It does.
To late June. Anyway, they're not. Boston getting hit. Philadelphia also trying to dig out this morning. Some areas getting more than a foot of snow, and that's where ABC's Whit Johnson is again this morning for us. Hey, Whit, good morning.
David, good morning to you. People here in Philadelphia cleaning up and digging out. Take a look at all this fresh snow this morning coming about to the top of my boot here. As forecasted, we thought that we would see up to a foot in some places, and that's exactly what happened. Let's take you up top to our drone camera to give you a wide, big picture view of what we're dealing with here. And take a look, the iconic Philadelphia Museum of Art behind me, and those steps that Rocky Balboa famously ran up, covered in snow and slush this morning. And as we take a look at this big picture, you can see this huge mess that people are up against in Philadelphia. But look at the roads. The roads, one area of good news here, mostly clear this morning, and that's because Philadelphia did a great job salting and plowing, but definitely slick and icy. We know car accidents were a huge problem that people were dealing with. Some other good news today. People are getting back to work. Government offices are opening. Schools are opening, although in Philadelphia there's a bit of a delay. 2 hours, school will start a little bit later. So people getting back to work, back to school. But as you can see, a lot to dig out, a lot to clean up. This fourth nor'easter in the beginning of spring, frustrating a lot of people. But Philadelphia, David, for the most part, feeling like the city dodged a major bullet.
Yeah, well, that's good news. I noticed there was nobody running up those rocky stairs there behind you. That's understandable this morning. But you know what? We're thinking about the thousands who are waking up. It's really cold this morning without power, no heat. How long is that expected to last, Whit?
Yeah, and David, their power is slowly coming back on, but as you mentioned, tens of thousands of people all the way from Philadelphia up and down the East Coast. Specifically in Philadelphia, the outages were a little bit more scattered, but we saw this morning some stoplights were not working. People were dealing with that. Little by little, it's coming back on. But we knew this would happen with this type of storm, David, because the temperature is hovering just above freezing, creating that wet, heavy snow capable of bringing down trees and power lines. That's exactly what we saw.
All right, Whit Johnson with us this morning. Whit Johnson surviving his first nor'easter with us, too. Great to have him on board.
It is.
Yes, it is great to have him on board. But all that snow, rain, and ice, well, it's leading to travel chaos. For more than 5,000 flights were canceled over the past 2 days, and hundreds of accidents reported across the Northeast. ABC's Gio Benitez is on the road in Long Island, New York. And Gio, how's it looking out there?
Oh, Michael, good morning to you. Listen, it's a little bit of a mess right now, and I want to go ahead and take a look at our road cam because you can see all of the snow that's going on all around, because the snow is actually still falling here on Long Island. And here on this particular road, the snow is actually sticking, but on the highways, when you go on the highways, the snow is not sticking when it falls. So it's creating that sort of wet sheen, that black ice on the roads, because the temperature right now is around 31, 32 degrees. So you really have to be very careful and watch for that sheen when you're driving during that morning commute, because that's what gets very, very dangerous, Michael.
And Gio, what if you park the car and you're going to travel by plane or train? How's that looking for you?
All right, so yesterday, more than 4,000 flights canceled, really an incredible amount. Some airlines and airports just canceled operations altogether. Over in Baltimore, some airlines actually ran out of the de-icing fluid, so that stranded even more planes. That's going to cause a mess today because today you have cancellations too. More than 600 flights have already been canceled today, and over on trains, you've got delays, Michael.
Things are just delayed everywhere. Thank you so much, Gio. Be safe on the roads.
Yeah, tough if you're trying to travel today, that's for sure. Out west, they're also facing severe weather. Southern California is on alert for flash flooding and mudslides as heavy rain comes down there. ABC's Kena Whitworth is in Santa Barbara and has the latest. Good morning, Kena.
Hey, Robin, good morning. So entering the part of the day that authorities are the most concerned about here, they're expecting heavy bouts of rain for the next 7 hours. So the threat of another massive debris flow, like that one there right behind me, that remains very high. So they have closed schools and evacuated 30,000 people. They're also bringing in extra troops, including the National Guard. Yesterday, the Santa Barbara Fire Department showed me exactly how they're preparing for a second day of rain.
They've been working round the clock since January 9th to prepare us for this, for our upcoming storms.
Authorities clearing out basins, getting ready for possible debris to come down the hillside.
taking out more than 50,000 truckloads in advance of the storm.
There was 5 homes here, and this is exactly the way it looked that morning.
On January 9th, this was completely overflowing. This was one of the major debris flows. So we right now are about 15 feet above this creek. But when you look at that mud line, I mean, we would have been 10 feet underwater standing right here under debris.
We're talking 30 feet of debris and mud and water just, coming over this.
So scary, keeping a close eye here on creeks just like this one. And right now it is working exactly how it's supposed to, but you can see the damage here left over by that January 9th storm. And authorities tell me they have surveyed the mountaintops and there is a lot more debris that could come down these hillsides. So Robin, these next few hours are absolutely critical.
Yes, they are. People in the area have already been through so much, as you said, Kana. Thank you, David.
The east and the west this morning. All right, Kana, thanks. Turning now to this morning's other headlines. New developments in that Texas serial bomber case. Police say the suspect, 23-year-old Mark Condit, who died when that bomb blew up in that car. Well, it turns out he recorded a 25-minute confession on his phone talking about what he did and why. Our senior national correspondent, Matt Gutman, is in Austin with those details and more on how authorities were able to track him down. Morning, Matt.
Morning, David. Most of it was old-fashioned detective work. Hundreds of federal agents literally pieced together those first 2 devices that exploded from thousands of tiny shards. Then they poured through hundreds and hundreds of receipts, hundreds of hours of surveillance tape, and that confessional video you just mentioned, it doesn't tell us exactly why he did this, but it does tell us what did not motivate him: terrorism. During the 19 days he allegedly terrorized Austin, Mark Anthony Condit was a mystery, but no more.
It was a confession because he was, and I even called it as such, that he was admitting to what he had done.
In that 25-minute confessional video found on his phone, Condit revealed how he made those 7 explosive devices, sowed terror.
We're going to be attempting to move people away from the building.
And offers a window into why he allegedly did this.
But instead, it is the outcry of a very challenged young man talking about challenges in his personal life that led him to this point.
He'd killed 2 and wounded others with his first 5 bombs, but the 6th was an unexploded device recovered from FedEx. 500 federal agents now zeroing in, spotting him on this surveillance video wearing a wig and pink gloves, trying to mail a package from a FedEx shipping center in southwest Austin earlier this week. Police were close, and Condit knew it.
Yes, there were indications that he stated in the video that he felt like we were getting very close to him.
And this morning, for the first time, we hear about the tense moments as the ATF and others decide to move in on Condit early yesterday morning.
So when you heard that those SWAT officers are moving in, that second, what did you feel?
Just suspense.
What did they say? We're about to ram this car.
Suspense, because it doesn't happen like there's like they're doing something, then there's radio silence, and then there's something, and then there's radio silence. So you never know, maybe for 5-10 minutes, what happened in 5 seconds.
That white van ramming Condit's red SUV. Condit's last bomb would go off, killing him. On Wednesday, his hometown, Pflugerville, on lockdown. Federal agents swarming his home, sending in robots and evacuating all residents within a 5-block radius.
Scary too. Today they went through our garbage.
Pat and Michelle Robach have lived next door to Condit's parents for 5 years.
Just, hi, how you doing, kind of thing like that.
The 23-year-old was homeschooled. He'd recently dropped out of college and was reportedly fired from a manufacturing job. His family reading a statement to ABC affiliate KMGH.
We had no idea of the darkness that Mark must have been in. Our family is a normal family in every way.
Now, last night I spoke to an ATF official right here who said that up until just a few days ago, they thought that this bomber might get away with it. They thought this could last for months, but it was seeing his images from those FedEx stores that broke this case wide open. David?
Yeah, so glad it didn't last for months. Matt Gutman, excellent reporting on the ground there for us, Matt. Thanks.
And the coordinated effort of law enforcement is
really
just
impressive.
remarkable. Yeah, very impressive. Now to Washington, where Congress has just unveiled a $1.3 trillion spending bill they need to pass before the deadline on Friday to avoid a government shutdown. Our chief White House correspondent, Jonathan Karl, has the latest on all that. Good morning, John.
Good morning, Robin. Well, it looks like there will be no government shutdown,
but there will be lots of new government spending, as you say, $1.3 trillion to be exact, to keep the government funding until October. It includes more than $650 billion in defense spending, the White House calling that the biggest increase since World War II, almost $4 billion for the opioid crisis, $1.6 billion for border security, and improved background checks for gun purchases. It does not include money for new concrete border wall, some new fencing, improvements to existing fencing, but no concrete border wall, and no protection for the Dreamers. The president is declaring victory over all of this, although he is acknowledging the massive price tag, saying in a tweet this morning, had to waste money on Dem giveaways in order to take care of military pay increase and new equipment. And Robin, one group of conservatives in the House is calling this bill an insult to American taxpayers.
All right, John, thank you.
Also new developments, Robin, in the Russia investigation this morning. Attorney General Jeff Sessions, he's now facing scrutiny after that story first reported by ABC News that before Sessions fired Deputy Attorney General Andrew McCabe, that McCabe had been investigating Sessions. Our Chief Justice correspondent Pierre Thomas has the very latest on a story he broke with the team here. Good morning, Pierre.
David, good morning. The feud between the FBI's former #2 in command and the Attorney General took on a different twist after we learned that Andrew McCabe had tried to investigate Jeff Sessions.
This morning, members of Congress demanding answers about Attorney General Jeff Sessions' Friday night firing of former FBI Deputy Director Andrew McCabe. This after our report that McCabe launched a criminal investigation about a year ago, looking into whether Sessions intentionally misled Congress about his interactions with Russians when he was a top advisor to the Trump campaign. The probe triggered in part by this critical moment during Sessions' confirmation hearing when he was asked what he would do if there was any evidence that anyone affiliated with the Trump campaign communicated with the Russian government.
I'm not aware of any of those activities. I have been called a surrogate at a time or two in that campaign, and I not have communications with the Russians.
It turns out Sessions met at least twice with the Russian ambassador, meetings he says were routine and that had nothing to do with the campaign. But Democrats were screaming for answers, and McCabe launched his investigation. It was ultimately closed with no action, and a source close to Sessions tells us that he did not know about the probe when he fired McCabe last week.
Sessions said he fired McCabe because the Justice Department Inspector General concluded McCabe leaked information to the media and lacked candor when speaking to investigators, something McCabe has flatly denied, David.
And Pierre, I also wanted to ask you about all this talk about our information on Facebook being used, and you have new reporting from our team that the special counsel is now asking questions about the relationship between the Trump campaign, the RNC, and that company, Cambridge Analytica.
That's right. Mueller has been quietly interviewing RNC staffers to find out about Cambridge Analytica's role in the 2016 election and the Trump campaign, David.
Pierre Thomas with us. Pierre, thanks.
We have more now on that nor'easter. And as we mentioned, some people are making the most of the snow. Like this group, it's called the Washington, D.C. Snowball Fight Association. Kind of like a fight club with snowballs.
Okay.
They're holding a snowball fight on the National Mall. When was the last time you guys had a snow fight?
Oh, gosh, it's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Well, if we get another nor'easter, I'll be outside waiting for you. Put it that way. I'll be so frustrated.
You see that.
Pent up energy over here.
Yeah, I had a little fear. I was stuck in the house all day yesterday. And out west, they're facing that heavy rain, as we mentioned earlier, and we're going to go back to Rob with more on that.
Hey, Michael, yeah, you got to go up to about 8,000 feet to get the snow. They had severe weather just north of Sacramento. Actual tornado touching down and trees down in Studio City. More rain on the way today. Speaking of rain, the rainy cities brought to you by Walmart.
Watch for black ice this morning up until about 9 to 10 a.m. Those temperatures hovering around freezing this morning. But as we top out at 45 degrees with sunshine, it is going to be blustery and cold. At 45 feeling more like 35 to 37 degrees through the area. We'll do a little better tomorrow, up to 46 the high. And then look at your weekend. Still temperatures well below average. And there'll be a fast moving system that clips us just to our south Saturday late into early Sunday morning. Could bring a little bit of rain and snow to some areas.
We're just getting started. Coming up, Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg breaking his silence on that privacy scandal, admitting a breach of trust, now the first lawsuit filed.